Well, hello there and welcome. Today I am joined by one of my favourite people in the world. Her name is Denise Cowle. Denise is a freelance proofreader and copy editor based here in Scotland. Now, while Denise's work is primarily in the humanitarians and educational publishing sector, Denise does the most incredible job on her blog helping content creators just like you and me on how we can make small improvements and adjustments to our writing style, which of course has a huge impact on our ability to serve our community and our customers and our readers and all that good stuff. How I like to think of Denise is the superhero that saves us from the grammar police. And today we're going to be learning a little bit more about her superpowers and how we can get our hands on those. I hope you enjoy. Hello, Denise, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
How are you? How are you?
Very well, thank you. Yes.
Good. I'm super excited to speak to you because, like I was saying in the intro, I feel like you are the superhero that saves us from the grammar police. And I'm hoping that you're going to share some of your superpowers with us today.
I'll do my best. That's really kind of you to say that. I'll do what I can.
Sure, it'll be great. Yeah. The first question I had, though, was, when we met, I knew you as a proofreader and copy editor, but in actual fact, you started out in the healthcare industry, which is really quite different.
Totally different.
Yeah, so could you maybe tell us about why you made that transition and what it is that you love about what you do and the gift that you share with the world?
Sure. Well, I was in the healthcare profession for a long time. I was a physiotherapist for 25 years and I absolutely loved what I did. But over the last few years of that, I was looking around thinking if I should have maybe a slight change of direction. At that point, I was still thinking of within healthcare. And then it just got logistically really difficult for me to literally make it to my work on time. Some things changed in my working practice. I had 3 young children, so it was logistically very difficult to get them all where they should be, get me there, and often do that on my own because my husband travels a lot. So it was just getting more and more difficult, more and more stressful because of the rigidity of working in a system where you're based on appointments. There was really no flexibility. It wasn't an option for me. So after a lot of chatting with my husband, we sort of realised that proofreading was something that I had been doing for quite a long time anyway for him. He works in sales and marketing, so I had spent years proofing marketing materials for him, catalogues, emails, all that sort of thing, without actually realising that was what I was doing. And he sort of said, I actually think you would be quite good at this. So we looked into it. I thought, yeah, actually, that looks really interesting. I've always had a strong interest in language and I've always read a lot. That in itself doesn't necessarily make you a good proofreader. But I did some training, some exploratory training, and I thought, no, actually, this is what I really enjoy doing. I really enjoy working with words. I've got a really good eye for detail, as it turns out. It wasn't something I'd ever particularly realised about myself, but I notice things, I pick up small things. I like consistency in writing, so I spot where things are hyphenated one place but not in the other. And bigger picture, I've got an ear for helping things flow properly when they're writing. And this has all been discovered really quite late in my life, really. But what's nice about it now is that I found that and I can use it to help people with their writing. So it's worked out really well, actually.
Yeah, that sounds, it's such a cool journey because it's really like, you found it from your circumstances and your lifestyle, and it sounds like something that was really, really important to you, and I think is important to a lot of people who start businesses or are exploring the world of entrepreneurship, is being able to create a lifestyle where what you do fits into, and it's more about who you are and how that can fit into the kind of life that you want to lead, which is really, really interesting. But you also you said a few things there, which I thought were really powerful about
being able to keep things consistent and flowing and having an eye for detail and things like that. They seem like skills that we all need to kind of work on and grow. And if we can do that sort of through our writing, or it starts with writing for you, it probably translates throughout your business. Do you find that to be the case, especially with the consistency?
Yeah, it's something that I think you can learn. I think there are tools that you can use to help you be consistent. And, in other parts of your business, you probably do use these tools, whether it's using a tool like Buffer to, be consistent in putting out your social media posts, or tracker tools. There are consistency things that you use in other areas. So I think it's just the thing that people maybe don't think about applying to their writing, that there are things that you can do to help yourself be more consistent, to iron out these little ticks that you might have in your writing, which you don't notice because you're too close to them, but somebody else, they can literally jump off the page at them. And so there are different ways of making sure that you're addressing these things without having to take up too much of your time. A lot of people really struggle with this sort of thing. It doesn't come naturally to some people, and they do need help. And sometimes it's just pointing them in the right direction of, actually, have you tried this? Have you thought about that? Not everybody needs somebody like me to come in and do it for them. Some people do, but not everybody does. So there are things that you can do to make it easier on yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a really good point, because I think people are scared. Like, I know from my own experience, like the fear.
Yeah.
The fear of, I'm not a good writer. Like, I know when I was at school, like, my English teacher terrified me.
Yeah.
Always in a good class, and I always got good grades. I am terrified to write in, and I know that for a long time, and even now I'm hesitant of like blogging or putting social media posts out there. Yesterday I put out something and I was like, I don't think that's right. Do I delete it? Do I just leave it? It was kind of doing well. So I was, this idea of fear, I think, is instilled in a lot of content creators, and it can stop them from putting it out there because they're fearful of, like, I can't write well.
Well, exactly. And you brought up a really good point there, Chloe, that often our only experience of having our writing judged is from school, and it was judged on a very strict criteria. Did it fit all the parameters that they set down for what is a good piece of writing in order to pass an exam? It didn't necessarily encourage you to speak with your own voice, to be particularly creative, other than perhaps, when you had to write a story about something. But because of the restrictions of an English curriculum, people get boxed in, and you're very early identified either as somebody who's good at it or somebody who isn't. And that can stay with you for the rest of your life, which is sad, really, because I've seen it myself with people saying, I can't write. And when you actually get them to do it, they can tell an amazing story. Now, their grammar may not be perfect, their punctuation may be all over the place, but the essence of their story is really powerful, and it's getting people to have the confidence to do that, which is really important, because otherwise they're holding back from sharing that with everybody. And that goes for blogging, or even writing a piece of marketing material for yourself, or writing for pleasure. It's a shame that people feel inhibited to do that. And the thing is, it doesn't need to be absolutely perfect. I think this is the thing that people do worry about. Has it got to be, every little thing absolutely perfect? If you look at some of the best writing, it breaks rules. It doesn't all have to be perfectly grammatically correct. And to be absolutely honest, a lot of the things that we learned at school that were hard and fast rules are actually just style decisions. And that's the thing I've learned more and more the longer I do this job, is that the fewer and fewer hard and fast rules there actually are. Yes, there are some, how to structure a sentence, but even that, you can play with these things. And I think, unfortunately, on social media, you get like grammar trolls, you know, the grammar police, and they pounce on every little thing, and it is really unhelpful. And the sad thing is a lot of the time, all they're doing is reinforcing out of date things that they learnt from school, that their teacher had learnt from school. And, you know, language is like anything else, it moves on. So, you know, people shouldn't feel bound by, oh, I was taught that at school and I can't do it, so I won't. It's a shame, really.
Wow, yeah, that's huge. That's huge. One thing you said there that I was like, whoa, is you know, about our using our voice and being able to share that. And really, that's, I guess, why we're putting out content. We're trying to share our message and our story with the world. And that isn't about, you know, full stops and commas and all of this. It's more of an emotional connection that you're trying to create with your reader.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it, I mean, a lot of what you're saying, it comes down to your mindset, right? And how you approach the writing and how you see it. I'm guessing, do you find that in the work that you do as well?
Yeah, because if I work with people who struggle with this sort of thing, I encourage them to not check their work as they're writing. I would rather that they got into the flow of it, they wrote freely about what they really wanted to say. You know, just write as it comes to you, and then we can tidy it up afterwards. If you're too busy thinking about, oh, what I've just written there, I don't know if that actually makes sense or if that's the right way to say that, it breaks your flow of thinking and it inhibits you from getting everything out. So I would always say, write what it is you want to say, just get it on the paper or on the screen or whatever, and then go back and look at it. So I would always advocate doing things in stages. And one of the biggest things I would always say is write it and then let it breathe. Put it away, give it time, go and do something else. I would say leave it for at least a day. And I know a lot of people like to maybe put things out quite quickly, and that's fine. But if you're writing stuff that you want to be out permanently, maybe on your website or anything, on a blog that is going to be referred to again and again by people, you want to make sure that it sits well out there. So give it time and then go back and use the tools at that point. Look at it with fresh eyes, run your grammar and spell check through it, get somebody else to look at it. You'll see things that you can cut, you can see things that you can change, and just giving it time to take your brain away from what it thinks it's going to read freshens it all up and makes it easier for you to do that first stage of corrections yourself.
That's so helpful. That's so helpful. It makes a lot of sense as well, because you're using different parts of your brain. If you think about like when you're in your creative mode and you're just trying to tell a story, and then you can like once you've had your chance to have your breath, you're able to come back and look at it from a different perspective.
Exactly.
Really hone in on like, okay, because you're thinking of it differently. You're not then trying to tell your story. You're just making sure that it sounds right and it's written and being more analytical, I guess. That's so helpful, Denise. Thank you. One thing I did want to pick up on, you have a style guide. You put out a style guide as a free ebook or PDF on your website, and I know that I downloaded that and I found that really helpful. For people who don't know what a style guide is and how they could use it, could you maybe talk about that just for a few moments, because I think it's a really great place to start.
Sure. So a style guide or a style sheet is just something that you use for your own reference, which lays out how you manage certain types of things that you deal with in your writing, whether that's how you spell certain words, which words you choose to hyphenate or not, which words you capitalize, how you deal with numbers, dates, times, common words that appear maybe in your industry that you have difficulty spelling or you can make mistakes with. You put them on your style guide and you can refer back to them. Because very often these decisions, there isn't one correct answer. So whether you choose to capitalise spring and summer, if you're in fashion and it's a spring-summer collection or not, how you choose to write out your times of opening if you have a business that has a shop, how you deal with the numbers in the times, how you write dates, whether you spell with an IS ending or an IZ ending. Again, it's about bringing consistency to it. Because if you spell the same thing differently, sometimes even within the same paragraph, that jumps out at the reader and it distracts them. So you want to make their journey through your writing as smooth as possible without any bumps in the road. And that's the sort of thing that can trip people up. They think, oh, she capitalised that in the last time I saw it, but not now. And that consistency you want to be across everything that you do, whether it's your emails, whether it's your blog or your website materials, your business cards, flyers, anything like that. The same goes if you're writing a book. I mean, that's often, commonly when I work on stuff that's come from publishers, it comes with a style guide that the publisher has. So you know exactly the framework that you're working in. And it's really easy for somebody to do that themselves. They just think about how they want to deal with these things. And that's what I've done in that ebook, is just give people pointers for what things to consider. It's a completely individual thing. It would be tailored exactly to you. And it's just useful to refer to if you're not sure about whether I should hyphenate that or did I spell that, with a Z or an S. But it's applying that consistency across everything that you put out there for public consumption.
Yeah, so helpful. It always comes back to consistency, right? Yeah. And I think you're right about, you said, the sort of the journey of the reader, and not interrupt. You don't want to interrupt the story. You don't want to interrupt the flow. And because I think sometimes when you read something, it's not even that you know what's not right. You just, it just makes you, it interrupts your reading.
It might not even be on a conscious level that you're registering. Yeah. It's just that you're subconsciously you're aware of these differences. And the other thing to say, and I don't like to hammer this home too much, but if you have errors and inconsistency in your written content, it's a reflection. It can be seen as a reflection on your business. And people may equate what they see as sloppiness and that sort of thing with, are you sloppy in other aspects of your business? Now, it doesn't necessarily follow just because you're not good at that, but people make assumptions. So you want to remove any of these barriers that people might have to working with you as early as possible. So if they're reading introductory text on your website and they see it's got lots of errors, they're judging you on that. Now, you might be the best in the world at what you do, but you might not get them to come past that page on your website. And that's just a shame, really.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, it's something I don't think a lot of us think about, but wow, like it can impact your sales. And it's true. I know I do this. Like there's this sort of group of people now that don't write in capital letters. They just write. And for me, like when I'm reading it on sort of like it's fine if it's like Twitter. I feel like it's a thing.
Yeah.
But when it's on like a blog or a website, it really makes me think like they're not an expert in what they do, and it's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, and sometimes you need capital letters to guide you through a piece of written work. I mean, you do. A capital letter indicates, it's the start of a new sentence. So that's helpful to your reader for them to know that, really.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Denise. I really recommend people check out that style guide. I'll make sure there's like a link to it because it's so helpful and such a good starting point for people who maybe aren't sure and just want to make these little improvements over time, as you say, consistency. If you had to sum up, you shared so much wisdom, I don't know how you're going to do it. Probably the most unfair question of all, but if you had to sum it up in a tweetable, what would that be?
Right. Well, you did prepare me for this, so you did make me think about it. And it's really hard, isn't it? But I'll give it a go anyway. So what I thought was, write freely and naturally. Don't check as you write. Use the available tools and tricks, and then get fresh eyes on your work for a final check.
Wow. Boom. That was amazing. Okay, I have one final question, unprepared question, but like I always end with a random question. I have to think of on the spot. I don't even know yet. Okay, so if you had to write for the rest of your life, either with no capitals or you could use capital letters, but you weren't allowed to use full stops, what would you pick?
I would pick no capitals, because you need a full stop to breathe.
It's true. Otherwise, you'll end up like me trying to do anything, like rambling on. I'm like, take a deep breath.
Exactly. You need to breathe, Chloe.
Perfect. Well, I know that when people either listen to this or watch this, they're going to be like, wow, Denise knows her stuff and I need to learn some more from her. How can people connect with you if they want to reach out after watching or listening to this?
Okay, so they can go to my website. Do you need the address now? Or are you going to put it up later?
We'll put the link in the comments.
So I've got a website, and my blog's got lots of useful advice on exactly the sort of things that we've been talking about today. They can follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is a bit odd. It's @DennyDayThat. That was written before I was an editor and proofreader. They're the two main places. I'm on LinkedIn as well, but that's kind of a sort of professional, sort of, rather more straightforward thing. So, but if you want to see what I do, my website, and I tweet a lot about this sort of thing as well. So they're the best places to connect, and send me a message and say hi.
Perfect. And Denise, you're always engaging with people on social media, which is what I love. Always a good conversation. We'll be sure to include all those links so that you don't have to remember them.
Sure.
Thank you so much for sharing your superpowers with us.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, and I hope you have a beautiful day and a beautiful rest of your week. I know people are going to get a ton of value from this. So, once again, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks, Chloe.